For some people, looking for love is all fun and games, but there's a lot more at stake for the amorous animals of the natural world. We're counting down the top 10 most extreme flirts in the animal kingdom to find out just who puts the most effort into meeting their perfect match. Discover there's no such thing as a cheap date when the costs of outrageous flirting are taken to the most extreme.
Earth is a planet of extremes. Extreme places and extreme animals. But some animals are more extreme than others. Join us as we count down to find the most unusual, the most extraordinary, the most extreme.
We may think that flirting's just a bit of fun, but in the natural world, it's about much more than just showing a little leg. Flirting means meeting a mate and continuing the genetic line. And some animals are prepared to invest more energy than others in the most outrageous displays to catch the eye of the perfect partner. Our countdown begins on the islands of the Galapagos with a bird with a most unfortunate name. It's the Booby. About 40,000 of these tropical seabirds make their home on top of the rocky cliffs. It's easy to see why they're called blue-footed boobies. The males use their brightly colored toes to flirt because they're an indication of his ability as a provider. The better his diet, the bluer his feet. For booby females, this blue suede shoe shuffle is enough to get them all shook up. Making a good first impression is vital, because boobies mate for life. Even established couples will reaffirm their pair bond every 7 months with a choreographed dance routine. But boobies aren't the only ones that flirt using a series of standard moves. It seems all humans are hardwired to flirt the same way. Scientists studying flirting couples from around the globe saw the same flirtatious signals everywhere. It's thought that these gestures are part of our brain chemistry. When it comes to flirting, studies have shown that the average guy chooses from about 10 flirtatious moves to attract a female. Women, however, can call on any one of more than 50 flirty signals, and they can use these moves as many as 80 times every hour to show men they're interested. The most universal signals are the eyebrow flash, the coy smile, and the exposed neck. You can tell if a guy's interested if he stands with his hands on his hips, touches his face while looking at you, or moistens his lips. But even with all the right moves, it turns out that geography can also have an influence on your flirting success, at least according to a survey by Match, an online dating agency. Apparently, Portland, Oregon is the place to meet your perfect match if you're a few kilos overweight. People here appreciate bulk more than anywhere else in America. Men who are vertically challenged may consider moving to Texas, where a disproportionately high number of women are prepared to date men shorter than 167 centimeters. But if you're a redhead, it may pay to stay clear of Miami, Florida. People there find redheads the least attractive. For what it's worth, the majority of women describe their ideal man as bold, assertive, flirtatious, non-smoking social drinker who's intelligent and can dance. But it takes more than twinkling toes to impress a female blue-footed booby. She's waiting for the ultimate token of his affection, a twig on her toes. It's thought this behavior is a leftover from a time when these birds actually made nests, because once their courtship is over, the first thing the female does is scrape away all the twigs to make a clear patch of ground. Then she brings up the kids in the dirt. The blue-footed booby may have been swept off her feet by the male's fancy footwork, but the extreme antics of the flirts coming up in the countdown are enough to leave any female wide-eyed in wonder. During the 4 months of India's monsoon season, the mountains are drenched with over 6 meters of rain. But this doesn't dampen the ardor of our next contender. The monsoon is a call to action for the Travancore Tortoise, because when the sun's away, it's time for this reptilian Romeo to play. But first, he must eliminate the competition. These tortoises are only found in one rainforest on India's western coast, so males compete fiercely for mating territories. If he can ram hard enough, he'll flip his rival over onto his back. An upside-down male can die in the sun if he's unable to turn himself right way up. Having cleared the area of possible challengers, the male sniffs out a potential partner. Then he has to attract her attention. The trouble is, for tortoises, there's not much difference between flirting and fighting. Males are so persistent and so aggressive that they can actually injure the female. Yet all that ramming is thought to be necessary to start her ovulation process, or at the very least cause her to stay still. We may think that tortoise flirting is a little bizarre, but strange things can happen when you're sitting inside a protective shell. For a surprising number of humans, sitting inside a car is no barrier to flirting. A set of traffic lights is the perfect opportunity for flirts to get their love life into top gear. And British drivers lead the way, according to relationship expert Tracy Cox.
They did a survey which was commissioned to launch a new Tigre convertible, and they found out that something like 2 million people in Britain every day flirt in their cars. 500,000 people end up in bed with the people that we flirted in the car with. And something like, I think about 150,000 people actually ended up marrying the person that they met as a result of flirting behind the wheel, so it's certainly happening.
For the Travancore Tortoise, a hot date is more like a car crash. But this dangerous liaison is nothing compared to the fatal attraction of the outrageous flirts ahead. So far, we've seen a tortoise tango and a booby boogie. But coming up, we'll discover that the world's most extreme love potion is nothing to sniff at. And later, what flirtatious female could really pop your cork? Find out next on The Most Extreme. Humans have always flirted with ways to make themselves more fragrant to the opposite sex. But surely one of the most unusual perfumes ever produced was the scent of cold, hard cash. This aftershave had the fragrance of freshly printed banknotes, which gave new meaning to the phrase, stinking rich. But forget eau de cologne, our next contender finds eau de corpse much more alluring. Scurrying in to number 8 in the countdown of outrageous flirts is the male burying beetle. He's so sensitive to the pungent stench of decay that he can sniff out a dead mouse from over 3 kilometers away. It may look disgusting to us, but rotting flesh is a big turn-on for a lot of animals. But the greediest of them all is the burying beetle. The mouse may be 200 times heavier than he is, but he'll try to claim it all for himself, because the more rotting flesh there is, the more attractive he is to females. He'll fight off all other competitors so that he has his bizarre trophy all to himself. And then, he climbs to the top of the carcass to release a perfume of his very own. These attractant chemicals are called pheromones. Combined with the sweet smell of decay, they act as a love potion for any females in the district. While we've only recently discovered that humans are also influenced by pheromones, some people have long believed that certain ingredients from the natural world contain chemical attractants that can have almost magical powers.
Lavender for love, rose for truth.
Tribble McAnally creates potions for people looking to find new love, spice up an old love, or bring a lover back. And according to Tribble, clients at his New Orleans Mystic Botanica store have experienced some remarkable results.
Love potions absolutely work. I think that there's scientific evidence, and we know from animals and nature that certain scents and certain herbal products and minerals have vibrations that can have an effect on emotions and the psychology of human beings.
But love potions aren't all rosebuds and lavender. They can contain some surprising ingredients.
Probably the strangest ingredient that I'm aware of is the macaque parrot's nest, which when falls from the tree is collected and added with several herbs and oils and spices to create it's actually an intoxicating perfume that's worn to draw new love into your life.
This burying beetle has drawn new love into his life thanks to an ingredient you'd never find in human love potions. And as if the smell of rotting mouse isn't bad enough, the first thing the courting couple do together is poo all over the place. A mixture of feces and saliva not only seals the romance, but also embalms the corpse. The burying beetle is without doubt the most disgusting romantic in the countdown, but there's good reason for their revolting behavior. Burying beetles get their name because they relocate their dream home underground. It only takes an hour for the pair to have turned the rotting carcass into an edible nursery for their brood of baby burying beetles. A house in a mouse may not be everyone's idea of a romantic gift. But if you think love stinks for burying beetles, you won't believe the outrageous efforts our next contender uses to pull the chicks. So far, we've seen beetles flirt in deadly earnest, and tortoises play rough. But coming up is an animal that really goes out on a limb for love. And what on earth has this flirting female done to get a male so upset? Find out next on The Most Extreme. In the outback of Australia, our next contender is a true flirtaholic. It's a male that spends over half his life laboring for love. That's because when you're a small brown bird in a brown world, you have to do something extravagant to catch the eye of any passing chick. While many males dress up in brightly colored plumage, the bowerbird evolved differently. He replaced flirty feathers with an elaborate love shack. During the breeding season, he constructs an arch of straw, the bower that gives the bird its name. Then he decorates the interior and landscapes the grounds. It seems that the drabber the male, the showier his love nest will be. And he does it all to impress a fussy female. The more impressive his bachelor pad, the better his chances are of successfully enticing a female in for a closer look. The bowerbird's number 7 in the countdown, because he maintains his bachelor pad every day for 3 long months. And it's not just keeping the grounds tidy. He's constantly painting the walls with a mixture of vegetable matter and saliva. This seemingly endless daily grind is just another day at the office for hard-working bowerbirds. But they're not the only ones who like to flirt on the job.
I think the ideal secretary should take pride in her work and her appearance. She must be efficient, cheerful, and sympathetic, but not excessively so. If her boss has an attack of the blues, she must cheer him up, but this does not mean she must pat him on the cheek or hold his hand. Friendship is necessary, but familiarity is taboo.
But a recent survey in the United Kingdom revealed that women are twice as likely as men to flirt with the boss.
I want to thank you in the name of the bank and tell you how much I personally appreciate your alertness. I beg your pardon.
48% of office workers surveyed admitted to functional flirting in the workplace. The most common reason given for flirting was that they wanted to hand work over to someone else. And 40% of office workers polled firmly believed flirting not only helped them do their job better, but was actually essential to succeeding at work. But the secret to a bowerbird's success lies in a well-built bower. All 19 species have a different decorating style. Spotted bowerbirds favor green berries, bleached bones, and chunks of white rock. But while lots of decorations increase his chances with the girls, if he has too many, he may catch the eye of a jealous male. Rival birds routinely trash each other's bowers, ripping sticks out of the walls and making off with prized decorations. But this is just a minor setback for a bowerbird. He can rebuild his love nest from the ground up in just 36 hours. Unlike the bowerbird, our next contender doesn't have to worry about rival males. His problem is an outrageous female that uses sex to steal. Coming in at number 6 in the countdown is a real gold digger.
Now then.
Oh.
What's the matter?
Oh, I've never been kissed like that in all my life.
Well.
Every year in Antarctica, another gold rush starts with the arrival of the Adelie penguins. The males are first ashore, and they quickly scramble to stake their claim for the choice breeding spots and the biggest collection of rocks. Adelie penguins construct their nests out of piles of stones. The more rocks you have, the more appeal you have as a potential mate. And that's why a pebble is something worth fighting for. Female Adelies have a far more outrageous approach to getting nesting material. They use their feminine wiles to steal stones from single males. Approaching an unpaired male, a female will flirt her way into his nest. The male, who can't believe his luck, moves aside to encourage her in. And then, just when he thinks he's scored, the female takes the money and runs. She scrambles back to her waiting partner, leaving one very bewildered male in her wake. The Adelie penguin is number 6 in the countdown because she puts her body on the line for a pebble. And the outrageous thing is that she can go back to the same lonely male and pull the same trick again and again, sometimes over 20 times in a row. While male Adelie penguins may be a little slow on the uptake, some humans have to work quickly to find a potential mate. In this lounge bar in New York City, there's a whole lot of flirting going on. These guys and gals are in a race against the clock.
All right, everyone, round number 1 is up. Gentlemen, I'm just going to remind you, you're going to move up 1 table number. Guys, you're going to move up 1 table number, please.
Welcome to the world of speed dating. Participants have just 6 minutes to impress, but according to one advocate, you can do a lot in that time if you know how.
People flirt a lot by using their hands. Sometimes the women will toss their hair, things like that. Crossing and uncrossing the legs, moving forward and back is a way to kind of flirt. Men will sometimes lean back. They'll maybe if you're really getting intimate, start touching each other just like, oh, you're kidding, hit someone on the knee, things like that. So there's a lot of physical ways to flirt, as well as, you know, the way you talk can be flirtatious as well.
According to organizers, over 90% of those attending find at least one person they want to see again. Perhaps that's why speed dating is one of the fastest growing dating trends in America today. Nobody flirts faster than a female Adelie penguin, but once the nest is built and the egg is laid, the female finishes her running around. Adelies mate for life. They need a rock-solid relationship because the penguins take turns to incubate their eggs, while one partner heads out to sea to feed. Our next contender has far less time to attract a mate, and while its relationship isn't based on stones, its path to romance is much, much rockier. We've seen penguins on the rocks, and birds that build the ultimate love nest. But just ahead, we'll discover that dancing can be a deadly business. And we'll find out just who's got the best moves in the mud. That's coming up on The Most Extreme. The dance floor can be full of hidden dangers for a would-be flirt. It's been suggested that the way humans dance could be about more than our sense of rhythm. It may be an indicator of our reproductive fitness. After all, a good dancer has to be physically coordinated and strong, just two of the many qualities people look for in a mate. But for the next contender, the dance floor isn't just dangerous, it can be downright deadly. The desert is an unlikely stage for the animal crawling in to number 5 in our countdown of outrageous flirts. A male scorpion has to be really careful how he struts his stuff. When he finds a female, he has to persuade her that it's not a dinner date, with him as the first course. His first move is to try and disarm her by grabbing hold of her claws. Although most scorpions do have a limited immunity to each other's venom, a direct hit would be fatal, so he has to try to fend off her stinging tail. Having disabled her weapons, he's ready to sweep her off her feet. This weird waltz is performed by most of the world's 1,200 species of scorpion. Every now and again, the couple will kiss by bringing their mouthparts close together. The scorpion is number 5 in the countdown because this dance can last for up to 48 hours and travel more than 24 meters as the male tries to position her in a suitable spot for mating. Finally, he deposits a sperm package on a stalk and carefully maneuvers her over it for collection. But this won't satisfy a hungry female, so the male has to quickly mate and run. Flirting this dangerous should be illegal, and in some parts of the world, it is. Believe it or not, in the state of New York, it's still against the law to flirt on the streets. According to an old law, a fine of $25 can be levied for flirting. This archaic statute specifically prohibits men from turning around on any city street and looking at a woman in that way. If convicted twice, a man would be punished by being forced to wear a pair of horse blinders whenever he went outside for a walk. Love is no walk in the park for scorpions. But if you think a 2-day dance marathon is energetic, just wait till you see the workout performed by our next contender. The mudflats and tidal mangrove estuaries of Southeast Asia are home to the animal at number 4 in our countdown of outrageous flirts. There's no going with the flow for the male mudskipper. This fish out of water advertises for love by scooping out mouthfuls of mud and building a wall around his dinner plate-sized territory. During the 3-month mating season, standing out from the competition can be a challenge, especially when you're only 10 centimeters long and have no arms or legs. Male mudskippers have muscled their way into number 4 in the countdown because they really throw themselves into flirting. He can leap up to 20 centimeters in the air. That's more than twice his body length. And he'll keep on jumping, often more than 80 times in a row. And if a male does attract a female, he then goes into a frenzy of fin flexing and push-ups. This is Muscle Beach mudskipper style. But mudskippers aren't the only ones who get fit while they flirt. At this gym in Los Angeles, California, you might expect pounds to be shed, but not clothing. But that's just what's happening in a workout class called Cardio Striptease. For 45 flirty minutes, students get to bump and grind their way to fitness. The class can get rather steamy, with exercises designed to build confidence through flirty and athletic movements. And unlike some exercise classes, cardio striptease seems to leave people wanting more.
It's more fun than anything else. I don't actually do any other classes because this one is so much more fun than the rest. The rest kind of lost interest for me, so.
But when it comes to getting down and dirty, mudskippers are in a class of their own. It's not easy standing out from the crowd on a mudflat, but at least there are plenty of females to woo. Our next contender has a different problem. Not only is it one of the rarest animals in the world, but it has to go to even greater heights to attract the attention of a mate. We've seen mudskippers jumping and scorpions pumping, but just ahead is a flirt that makes an incredible leap for love. And later, we really get to the bottom of sexual attraction. That's coming up on The Most Extreme. On the central plains of the Indian subcontinent, monsoon rains create lush plains of tall green grass. And that's a real problem when you're a male florican looking for love. So, he's had to find a different way to catch the eye of any passing female. He's only the size of a chicken, but he can leap up to 2 meters into the air. That would be like a male human making a standing jump of more than 6 meters. Now imagine doing that 500 times a day for up to 3 months. This remarkable stamina is why the florican is number 3 in our countdown of outrageous flirts. But the florican's not the only aerial athlete prepared to make a leap for love. In Kenya and northern Tanzania, Maasai warriors flirt by performing a series of springing vertical leaps. Just like the florican, this is a courtship dance that flaunts the male's fitness, agility, and availability. The male florican is definitely available, but unfortunately, his chances of meeting a female are slim. Due to the loss of its grassland habitat, the florican is one of the most endangered birds in the world. But our next contender is also in danger, because if she doesn't flirt outrageously, she could lose her babies. In an attempt to find out just what interested a flirting male human, researchers used a visor equipped with special sensors to track even the smallest of eye movements. The results confirmed what many women have always suspected. The on-screen cursor shows exactly where his eyes are traveling. Similar surveys found that 48% of men first looked at a woman's chest, while just under 30% admitted to checking out a woman's rear. But on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, our next contender knows exactly what catches a male's eye. The female crested black macaque is number 2 in the countdown, because when it comes to flirting, she knows there's only one thing on a male's mind, and that's her rear end. When female macaques are in the mood to flirt, their buttocks get bigger, much bigger. Every 30 days, her fleshy red rump fills with fluid. This is her way of standing out from the crowd so she can attract a mate. And she wants lots of mates, because in macaque society, a jealous male can sometimes kill infants that are not his own. So the more males the female flirts with, the more males will think that they're the father of the baby, which should increase its chances of survival. Macaques are not alone in liking big bottoms. The rears of human females may not swell up when they're at their flirtiest, but in the past, women have created the impression that they have an ample posterior thanks to the bustle. The fashion for strapping on a pair of designer buttocks didn't last long. Unlike that other, more enduring piece of female underclothing, the corset. The main function of a tightly laced corset was to create the perfect hourglass figure by decreasing the size of the waist. And now, science has calculated just how curvy a woman has to be to attract the most attention. It's estimated that the ideal woman's waist measures about 65% of her hip circumference. This waist-to-hip ratio is thought to be an indicator of the woman's ability to bear children, because hips take their shape at puberty from the feminizing hormone estrogen. It appears that on a subconscious level, males have evolved to pay attention to this fertility cue. When it comes to body language, there's nothing subtle about the female macaque. Her bright red rump broadcasts her availability to all the males in the troupe. But our final contender makes sure that everybody within 250 square kilometers knows when she's in the mood for love. We've seen the 9 contenders. They're the best of the best. Only one animal is a more extreme flirting machine. It's number 1, and it's up next on the most extreme. To find the most outrageous flirt in the countdown, we've traveled to Africa. We're here to listen to the love song of the biggest tease on the planet, the elephant. Because elephants spend such an extraordinary length of time carrying and rearing their offspring, they have one of the narrowest windows in the world in which to meet their next Mr. Right. She's only in a flirtatious mood for 2 weeks once every 4 years. And when you live in a herd of females on the plains of Africa, a good male can be hard to find. That's why she sends out an invitation that's loud enough to rival a jackhammer. The only problem is, the sound waves are quickly scattered by anything that gets in the way, so her love song carries less than a kilometer. The odds are slim that a mature male will be close enough to hear her call and stop what he's doing. That's why she also broadcasts her amorous advertisement with low-frequency vibrations, made by passing air through her nasal cavities. These infrasound frequencies are so low that we can't hear them, but they send a clear invitation to a male elephant. Unlike normal vocalizations, infrasound waves bend around objects with very little scattering and can carry much greater distances. Recent research has shown that elephants may actually sense these low-frequency sound waves through nerve endings in their sponge-like feet. And these good vibrations are enough to bring male elephants running. The only problem is that the female will continue to put out the call for a further 2 weeks. In that time, her low-frequency come hither calls to every available male in a range of more than 250 square kilometers. And that's how the female elephant makes all the bulls in the district fight for the right to her affections. Bull males can weigh more than 5 tons. Their tusks alone can weigh 45 kilograms each, so these testosterone-fueled face-offs can be deadly. But winning round 1 doesn't mean that you've won the war, because as the female elephant continues to broadcast her love song, she'll attract other rival males. But elephants aren't the only ones sending out silent calls for lonely hearts. Japan's flirts are experimenting with a new way of finding romance, using what's known as a love getty. It's a small device that acts as an alarm if someone of the opposite sex comes within range with their love getty set on the same mode. There are 3 settings: karaoke for romantic crooners, chat mode if you just want a friend, and get mode to find your soulmate. $400,000 of these mechanical matchmakers have already been sold, and more men are buying the gadgets than women. But at least human males don't usually fight for the right to be with a female, unlike the elephant. After 2 weeks of flirting, a female should, in theory, have found the biggest, strongest bull elephant in the district to father her children. She'll leave a trail of wounded, deflated males in her search for her perfect match. But finally, after all that flirting and fighting, she's found him at last. And that's why, when it comes to outrageous flirting, the female elephant really is the most extreme.